up, nerds? My name is Leslie Smith. Welcome to The Nerdy Narrative. This is a channel I use to share with all of you what I'm reading in case I stumble across something you might be interested in picking up. Today, I'm going to review a self-published fantasy book called Winds of Strife by UG Gutman. While it is classified fantasy, I think it's important to pinpoint what kind of fantasy it is so you guys know what to expect. Winds of Strife to me is fantasy with a lot of horror elements. And the reason why I feel it's very important to tell folks ahead of time that this is a dark fantasy or a fantasy with horror elements, if you're not expecting that type of trauma that comes with reading horror, you may not like this book. And it's not because the book isn't good, it's because you don't like horror. And I think a lot of books, if they're not marketed or classified correctly, get a bad rap, and it's not because it's not good, it's because it's not what the person was expecting when they picked it up. But with all that out of the way, let's talk about Winds of Strife, which is the first book in the Dawnless Night series by UG Gutman. This is my second time reading this book this year. On the second round, I did have the audiobook to go with the physical copy. The first time I read it just on my Kindle, and I was so enraptured by the magic system, I didn't really pay attention to the characters. I didn't give them their fair shot. I was trying to memorize and learn the magic system, which is why I reread all the time. I never catch everything on the first go round. I'm usually wrapped up in one element or another. So this time around, it was more about the characters for me. But I think I got a better grasp on the magic system. The magic system in this world is based on emotion. Harnessing emotion, and you have to learn to do this at a younger age, because once you reach a certain age, you're no longer able to harness the emotion or learn the ability to do so, which I thought was really neat. But the different emotions will cast certain colored auras. Certain emotions work well together, or they work to battle someone who is harnessing a different emotion. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. Now, this is where some of those darker horror elements come into play, is you can harness the love of another. Meaning, if someone cares for you, you can harness that, and pretty much you can control them and have them do what you want them to do. And throughout the book, we learn about all of the different emotions and what harnessing each one does. So you can see why I got caught up in that. The magic system is a little complex, and that's where the physical copy comes in. The author includes charts that tells you about the auras and what each one does. But when I listened to it on audio the second time around, the narrator, Amanda Lee Cobb, did such an amazing job that I not only learned the magic system better, but what she did for me with the characters is made them 3D. She brought them off the pages to me and made them people. Because she was able to do that for me with the characters, I was able to learn the magic system better. The author uses one of the characters to mentor another. He is teaching her to use sincerity, which is the ability to harness emotions to perform magic. And their relationship throughout the book, as he is teaching her, it is also teaching me. And what was funny is the first time that I read this book, the main character, Ivy, the princess, I did not like her one bit. But when I listened to it and read it the second time, Ivy is one of my main characters. Like, guys, it's hilarious. This audiobook narrator had me change who my favorite characters are. Except for Nye. Nye is still a favorite character of mine. Okay, before I start talking characters, let me tell you what this book is about. So we have King Aladar, who has said that any woman wielding sincerity is a witch and should be killed. But it is entirely okay for males to wield sincerity. So straight out the gate, we have that line in the sand between men and women. Another interesting element that lends a bit of suspense and thrill and excitement to the story, the night has been getting longer for years and years. So the king said that it's a woman witch that's doing it, and he's blamed her. He's got everybody convinced that it's a woman doing it, And that's why he has gotten away with outlawing the use of sincerity by women and just basically killing them off. He has a group of men and his employee called the Harbingers, the Sun Harbingers. Their job is to go out and hunt down these women and kill them. These guys are pretty bad. They don't just kill the woman conspirator. A lot of times they wipe out the whole dang family. Sometimes even a town. And so this turkey, King Aladar, has a daughter, Princess Ivy. And there is something about Ivy that she's just not quite normal. And he's decided that he wants Harbinger Nye to harness Ivy's love and take over controlling her and eventually marry her, because King Aladar has harnessed Ivy's love her whole life and kept her confused. He didn't want her to learn sincerity. Everybody is plotting on somebody in this book, and I just absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. And Nye was a favorite of mine the first time I read it because I was so intrigued by his character. Nye experienced a very, very traumatic event at a younger age, and as a result, he is grief-stricken and he is seeking vengeance, revenge. And the event that transpired this physically injured him as well and almost killed him. As a result, he now has a voice that he hears in his mind that he has named Madness. I'm actually torn on if he is indeed mad or insane and it's his own subconscious that he is talking to, or because people can harness emotion, did someone, when Nye was vulnerable during that traumatic event that happened, did they harness some type of emotion that they are using to make him think he's going mad? At any rate, this voice of madness that he is constantly trying to deal with while existing in the sane world, it is fascinating to watch unfold. It's also difficult because he does some terrible things. He beats some of the women that live in the house that he has saved. They were orphans of conspirator women that were murdered. When you learn his story about why he is the way he is, Nye is the most gray character I have ever read. Some of the things he does are wrong. They are wrong. He also does a lot of good. And it's not his fault. If someone is truly mad, they are suffering a mental health condition, a mental illness. I just don't think that makes them a villain. He needs help. And I know what that help is now that I've finished this first book in the series. And I hope that he gets it in a follow-up. And it's a beautiful thing to read about and understand at the end what it would take to save him. And it makes perfect sense, especially when you remember the magic system is based on emotions. And I loved it. I love Nye. Does that mean I support what he does when he's in the grips under the influence of madness? Absolutely not. No, what he is doing is wrong, but I can't force myself to blame him for his actions that he is not in control of. He's just not. Guys, I need you to read this book. There is so much discussion to be had about the characters, the events taking place, the society, just the magic system, all of the characters. Nye is just one of many that is just extremely interesting, and just their dynamic with one another. I loved it. I love the main plot, which is what King Aladar is doing by lying to people, what he's doing with his daughter and women who can wield sincerity. It's amazing. I can't wait for the next book in this series to come out. I've already read this one twice. I know I'm going to read it again. It's just got so much to unpack and think about. And even reading it a second time, I feel that I am more empathetic towards Nye. A lot of people read this with me in my Discord. Everybody, for the most part, rated it a 4 out of 5 stars and really enjoyed it. We've had some great discussions about it. So if you have read it, I would love for you to jump in the Discord and talk with us about it. The link is in the description box down below. If you are interested in reading it and you want to come talk to us after, that channel will still be there for you. But guys, hit me up in the comments down below. Does this sound like the type of book you would be interested in trying? I would definitely caution you and say if you do not like horror, I don't believe you would like this book. This is definitely written for somebody who likes darker fantasy or someone who reads both horror and fantasy like I do. I've always defined horror as a story based off a traumatic event. And a lot of times that is centered around some sort of abuse. So by saying this is a fantasy with horror elements, that's the best way I can tell you that there's a lot of trauma that happens to these characters, and just how they try to deal with it on their own while existing in a normal world around them is just amazing. There is also still a giveaway going that the author is doing. For your choice of either a Kindle or a 12-month membership to Audible, the last winner will be chosen on August 22nd, so I'll have the link in the description box down below for you to go to register. You don't have to do anything like go like 20 different pages and follow 20 other pages and comment in 16 different places. You literally go to that link, put in your name and information, and you are entered. Guys, thank you so much for watching today. I hope you enjoyed this review for Winds of Strife by UG Gutman. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll catch you in the next one.